Joseph Buckley posted yet another cancel culture video. Let's just get right into it.
Now with 70 pieces of bonus content and more added every week, you get a lot of catching up to do. Support the habit at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. Just in case you happen to be a time traveler from the past who stumbled upon this video, it's the future. The year...
Oh, we're using card A, by the way, for the TEDx bingo card.
...is 2021. All of the 80s time travel movies got it wrong. We don't have flying cars, but machines haven't risen up to kill us yet either.
He's using this to be as condescending as possible, by the way.
So I suppose that's a good trade. Instead, it's a dystopian nightmare akin to the book 1984 that no one who ever references has actually ever read, where you don't have...
Yes, Buckley, we know how much you hate conservatives, yet you're still gonna hide behind, oh, I'm not left or right. I'm not left or right. I just repeat left-wing arguments, make fun of almost exclusively the right. I'm not left or right, though.
Have the freedom to do anything anymore. Except for some reason, you do have the freedom to go on every single social media platform and tell everyone that you don't have the freedom to do anything anymore.
Do you care to go into specifics on why they say they don't have freedom? Because from what it sounds like, all you're saying is they don't have freedom of speech, which even then you're just strawmanning.
And if you're from the past, perhaps you remember a man by the name of Glenn Danzig, lead singer of the Misfits. The Misfits were a punk rock band that started in the late 70s and are probably most famous for their song Last Caress, originally released in 1980. Let me read you the lyrics to the song. But you know what? Maybe to make it easier to digest, let me read them to you in my Patrick Warburton voice. I got something to say. I killed your baby today. And it doesn't matter much to me, as long as it's dead. Well, I got something to say. I raped your mother today, and it doesn't matter much to me, as long as she's spread. Sweet, lovely death, I'm waiting for your breath. Come, sweet death, one last caress. That's pretty much the whole song. They just repeat that all again. The song is under 2 minutes long. Punk is like the SoundCloud rap of the 70s to the 90s, a lot of really short songs. And don't get me wrong, I like punk music. In fact, I like the Misfits. But anyway, Danzig, doing an interview for Rolling Stone, the music magazine and website read by dads who want to pretend they're still hip, was asked about the song, which he replied,
Lack of self-awareness, Buckley. You're trying to pretend you're still hip by appealing to your liberal audience, to your far-left audience, to your Marxist audience, basically. So many comments in your previous videos where you criticized the right, where a few comments specifically would say, they would either admit they're a leftist, or they would say stuff like, Obama's conservative, or something.
It's just a crazy-ass song. We would do things just to piss people off. After claiming it was also about saying, fuck the world, fuck your system. He said, it was something else. I don't think people will ever see anything like it again. There won't be any new bands coming out like that. Now, they will immediately get canceled. The interviewer says,
again, Buckley trying to be hip and appeal to his far-left audience.
What do you mean? And Danzig says, people don't understand because everything's so cancel culture woke bullshit nowadays. But you could never have the punk explosion nowadays because of cancel culture and woke bullshit. You could never have it. It could never happen. We're lucky it happened when it did, because it will never happen again. You won't have any of those kinds of bands ever again. Everyone's so uptight and PC. It's just like, okay, whatever. What he's trying to say in that rambling, repetitive mess is, you can't make punk music no more. But
it's only rambling if you're part of the far left. don't you leftists say something like, if it doesn't, or just because it doesn't affect you doesn't mean it's not a problem?
By the way, he said all this while he's promoting a new movie called Death Rider and the House of Vampires. Apparently, Danzig thinks he's Rob Zombie now. But anyway, the trailer begins with a man taking a half-naked, clearly abducted woman.
And Buckley thinks he's... I can't name him off the top of my head.
To be murdered by vampires. And then features a whole bunch of blood and violence. But oh no, you can't do anything controversial anymore. The world's too PC.
Because there have been things that have been removed because of PC. A little slide here, the caption here says, PC woke crowd would never let this movie get made, even though it was already made. Well, the thing is, there were movies back then that were already made. Not even just movies, because Buckley even did a video on... The guy's name was Lou Reed in the 1970s, and people today trying to get him... Well, I can't say canceled since I think he's dead. John Wayne movies were complained. They were complained about, and they were in the 60s. So this doesn't make any sense at all. Just because it was already made doesn't mean they won't complain about it. How naive is Buckley?
Now I know I've flogged this topic to
a list
near death, but...
Yes, I know you flogged this to near death. And since you're... That doesn't mean everything you say is right. Because a lot of things you said in... Well, except for the Bill Burr one. This one, the Morgan Wallen, Cat in the Hat, and especially the cancel culture itself, there were so many things you said wrong.
Let's talk about what cancel culture really is, because...
Are you going to give an objective definition?
Because there are sort of varying degrees to it, generally dependent on what you've done and who you are.
I'm surprised to hear him say this, since he said that it doesn't exist because it's like getting dislikes on a video.
I'm not going to run down the exhaustive list of examples again here of who's been fine after being so-called canceled. And
just because they came out fine doesn't mean they suffered a lot of... I don't want to say unfair. Actually, yeah, I will say unfair, because if it was anyone else who said it, or if they said it to a different demographic or a different group of people, whatever you want to call it, sorry, scribe, they would have gotten away with... Nobody would have complained except for the people who are already irrelevant.
Who's still struggling, but basically what it means for a celebrity is that you kind of...
being quote-unquote canceled because it doesn't exist, cancel culture isn't real, usually means not getting to be on very mainstream shows or having your songs taken off the radio or not getting a Netflix special.
Lose access to a more mainstream audience. It means things like being booted from a popular TV show, or not being allowed to host award shows, or radio stations not playing your songs. Maybe Netflix doesn't give you a special.
And sometimes it just means that you're not gonna... You're basically fired from everything. And ads don't want to associate... They don't want to have any... your association at all. From what I was told in Ranting Monkeys After Party, which is going on, go check that out, by the way. I was told that cancel culture has different consequences for celebrities as far as regular people. And Buckley, he never acknowledges regular people out of convenience so that he could continue saying it doesn't exist. I'm actually surprised he hasn't continued to repeat, oh, it's just like getting dislikes on a video. Because that is one of the most disingenuous arguments I ever heard.
All things that punk...
The Misfits, at least while Danzig was with them, were never on the radio, never on TV. They were canceled, quote-unquote canceled, before there was a word for it. You You couldn't make Last Caress now. You couldn't make it then. Not if you wanted to be on the radio.
Doesn't give a fuck about, and shouldn't give a fuck about. The Misfits
yes,
were
Buckley's gonna start whining. He's gonna start raising his voice.
already canceled. They just didn't have a word for it. Rock radio stations weren't playing Last Caress, or Hollywood Babylon, or She, or Die Die My Darling, because it had no mainstream appeal, which is the appeal of punk to those who like it.
So his argument is only that it didn't play just because it didn't have a mainstream appeal. Punk wasn't just about looking like a goofball. It was about not caring that people thought you looked like a goofball. It's about saying, F the mainstream, F the sellouts, and F the government, whoever is in charge.
Punk is supposed to be about not giving a fuck about what the rest of the world likes, about ignoring the disco and pop bullshit or what mainstream rock was doing. Sure, the Ramones and their...
The Ramones were the earliest example of punk, of pop punk. Songs like Blitzkrieg Pop, Rock and Roll High School, and I Want to Be Sedated weren't really counterculture. It was punk for 13-year-old high school kids.
Silly shit like Blitzkrieg Bop or Rock and Roll High School or I Want to Be Sedated, those got played. But you weren't hearing the Dead Kennedys singing about police...
The Dead Kennedys, now that's a punk band, sarcastic, darkly comedic lyrics about police brutality, a-hole rich kids, S landlords, and of course, being too drunk to F.
Brutality, or privileged white kids, or lynching the landlord.
I'm actually wondering at this point if Buckley believes in white privilege, since he's been getting so woke in these recent videos since early 2020.
Or being too drunk to maintain an erection. Punk has always been about being...
Black Flag Slip It In is a great example of edgy 80s punk you were never gonna hear on radio or MTV.
Being controversial and edgy, even if some of it now feels like listening to a 14-year-old on voice chat.
Haha, S suck. Haha. Why is suck censored? Suck my D, U, F, Q, F. I'm a bad. He doesn't censor A, yet he censors suck. I've done 2 hours in Iraq.
Playing Call of Duty, just edgy for the sake of edgy. But it's effectively uncancelable because...
and Buckley leftist for the sake of being leftist.
It's pre-canceled. It will never be mainstream. Sure, pop punk was, but I'm not talking about Blink-182 or The Offspring here. We're talking about bands like...
Not exactly the most underground band of all time, but NOFX in nearly 40 years of existence has only ever had one album sell over 500,000 copies. That's it. The rest have not, and they never had a song on the Billboard Hot 100.
NoFX, who have never even had a single song on the Billboard Hot 100. And
not getting the point. Let's just skip ahead.
Said in a sauce what? He wasn't going to be asked anyway. And also, since when the fuck has anyone got truly canceled over something they said in a song?
You'd be surprised by what people get canceled for, Buckley. Because supposedly Robert Downey Jr. was attempted to get canceled because of what he portrayed in a movie role. That wasn't the first time it happened either to a celebrity. I can only imagine people would actually get canceled for what they said in a song. And if, especially rappers, were told to be conservative, I would imagine they would get canceled for what they rap about, since rap is mainly about sex with a lot of women. Just stuff that Buckley critiqued in his musical autopsies and worst songs list. There was even a video when Steve Harvey was he and Donald Trump were, I think they were in Trump Tower. Hey bear, hey parody bear. So, yeah, Steve Harvey and Donald Trump were in, they were, like, walking out of Trump Tower, I think, and shortly after, there were liberals who were digging for Steve Harvey's comedy skits, and they found that he said the N-word, even though they called Zoe Saldana the N-word. And I wouldn't be surprised if those same people also hashtag Uncle Tim. Roseanne, when she got in trouble for the comment she made about Valerie Jarrett, which, by the way, Valerie Jarrett is just as pale as Roseanne. They had her. They just look for stuff. Buckley, you'd be surprised what people get canceled for. And I mean that sincerely because you believe cancel culture doesn't even exist.
If this was the case, there wouldn't be a single rapper with a career.
This is a song from 2021. It reached number 1 on Billboard's Hot 100, so it's the most popular song in America. These are the lyrics. Shut up about what you can't say in songs. Oh, there you Buckley. God, no wonder Ed and Dro said something about you're the reason he stopped doing videos. Because you're like, oh, these people, oh, basically called you a propagandist, which was amazing. So verse 1, I won't love a H after we F. She can't get near me, only B. I give a conversation is Siri. My pants a Miri. Yes, I'm winning clearly. I'm the chosen one. See my potential, so they fear me.
But they're all still rapping about treating women like vapid fuck toys.
David Lamy's a political Steve Harvey without a mustache. Now let's look into that parody bear.
You don't get canceled for how you treat women in fiction.
Sometimes you do. Again, you'd be surprised for what people get canceled over. And maybe this artist is left-leaning. Maybe that's why he doesn't get canceled.
You get canceled for how you treat them in real life. As long as Glenn Danzig never actually killed a baby or raped someone's mom, he's fine. Although, after watching him get knocked out by one punch in the early 2000s, I don't think any mothers or babies are in danger of being harmed if they fight back just a little. But in art, music,
movies... If cancel culture was so bad that you get punished for what you have fictional characters say, or what gets said in art, Tarantino would have been wiped off the face of the planet. Again! I gave the John Wayne example. John Wayne... John Wayne got canceled, and he was only portraying fictional characters. Buckley's really trying to cling onto the notion that cancel culture isn't real. Which I'm still surprised he hasn't used a dislike YouTube analogy.
Whatever, you can do pretty much whatever you want. But you have to understand, yeah, it might close a few doors. Especially if you're also a huge asshole and have a reputation for being difficult to work with. A Dose of Buckley has probably closed off any chance I had to get my own show on Disney Plus, where I coach.
Only because you swear a lot. Since you're so woke, I'm sure you would have gotten a job on Disney Plus or something.
Bunch of out-of-shape, ethnically diverse teenagers with learning disabilities from poor neighborhoods, one of which is non-binary, to become Golden Gloves champions. But you know what? I've made my peace with the fact that Alan Bergman is going to call John Stamos instead of me. But you know what seems very not punk to me? Complaining about how you might get canceled. Punk is a...
You know what seems not very, I'm not left or right to me? Having to make 16 videos on the right over the past year against the right, making ridiculous analogies, and almost exclusively ignoring the left, and especially ignoring that they did the same things, and only doing about 3, 4 videos on them over the past year compared to the 16 you've done on conservatives.
About how the world already canceled you. You're an outcast, a misfit, if you will.
Imagine being in a band called the Misfits and being upset that you could be shunned from mainstream society. Here's the thing. They don't want to be seen as sexist, racist, homophobic, transphobic, or any other ist or phobe. There's a difference between that and not wanting to appeal to the mainstream.
Hell, it should bring a smile to your face to get canceled. You want to get canceled.
I'll give this to Buckley. He's not entirely wrong. However, they don't want to be slandered either. They don't want to be the subject of libel.
You want that reaction from as many people as possible. You don't want to be part of the mainstream anyway. Oh, the world's turned so upside down that in 2021 you can't sing a song about forcing yourself on someone's mother because people on Twitter would tweet angry things at you and you won't get invited to be on The Masked Singer. Shut the fuck up,
you should look in the mirror and say that to yourself, Buckley. Oh my god. You're so whiny. You're so annoying. What has the world come to when you can't make songs about raping someone's mother and people on Twitter calling you names in TV shows wouldn't have you on them? People on Twitter creating hashtags defaming you, calling you racist, sexist, or ist or phobe or anything. Oh, but you're not left or right, are you? I'm not left or right. I'm surprised he hasn't said that in this video. Has he said it in the comments? Top comments. Oh, he hasn't even commented, or yeah, he did comment only to reply to people. I'm surprised he hasn't shilled anything else, though. I hope someone mentions this on Monkey's after party. I'm doing great. You're all ears. Thank you. I thought I was doing a terrible job, by the way.
Pansy ass little baby. That's not punk. Punk is saying, I don't give a fuck. I fucking dare you to try and cancel me. Don't like what we're doing? Don't buy it. Don't stream it. Don't come to our shows. We don't want you here anyway. You should know this already, Danzig, but it's the difference between being punk and being a punk.
And Buckley's a punk. A punk who shills for leftist audiences. Hi, Dr. Keeve. Is Monkey still alive? Just curious. Laughing. Or is that a smile? I don't know. If I haven't already mentioned Buckley an abundant amount of times on Lords of the Night. Actually, I only mentioned him about 2 or 3 times. But still, though, if I would have already mentioned it to Monkey by now. I highly doubt he would have taken a look at the video. Because when he was looking at Phil DeFranco's video the other day, it was one that he already watched. Yeah. Oh, shoot. There we go. Yeah, he's still going. Yeah, I imagine. I just love how it's on the suggested. So I mentioned your comment, Keeve, that in Monkey's After Party he was talking about how cancel culture affects celebrities and how it affects normal people, which Buckley never acknowledges over regular people. He conveniently avoids it just to say cancel culture isn't real or to somehow imply it. Yet he still has an okay understanding of what it is, despite his narrative or believing the left wing narrative. What's Dream Over? Buckley's video? Oh yeah, I should probably post it in chat. There you go, that's Buckley's recent video. Oh, mine? Well, all I had to talk about was Buckley's video. You're fine though, Keeve. No, Keeve, you're fine. I guess I could take a look at some of the comments. Your Patrick Warburton voice impression is spot on, dude. Who else wants to see a show? Who else wants to see that show where Buckley coaches a group of misfit? You get canceled for how you treat women in real life. If only Chris Brown is proof no one cares. Yeah, just one example. And I'd say just one example because I've been recently hearing it'll never happen again. My God, the amount of songs in the alt rock slash metal slash punk slash emo genres with effed up lyrics that no one bats an eye to. That guy has to be way out of loop to think the lyrics his band performed haven't been outdone in offensiveness even the last few years. Danzig is complaining about Danzig complaining about cancel culture is like me complaining about not getting invited to the neo-Nazi party. God, the comment is so cringe. That unexpected Bill Burr impression nearly put me to tears from laughing. Buckley, he thinks he's a comedian. He's a pseudo-comedian. He's just not funny, no matter what impression he does. I misread this as party rocking. Could never happen today. You can't make the Misfits because they suck. Now because they suck by today's standards. Not that it's too edgy. Anyone that thinks that must be sheltered and probably hasn't listened to anything new in decades anyway. Buckley, are you okay? We felt your raw emotions poured into this. Of course he's not okay. He looks for things to be offended by. Typical leftist. No one's ever gotten cancelled over song lyrics. The entire war on metal and musicians in the 80s. Am I a joke to you? There was no mass cancellation, but they certainly tried their best. Oh, am I roboting? Shoot. You heard rowboating too. Sorry. It's funny. That's odd, especially since 22-year-old guys like me are starting to get tired of bands like Maroon 5 and Imagine Dragons, and for a good 7-8 years they were basically only bands on the charts. Usually it's your generation who obsesses over current celebrities. No, I was laughing because he said rowboating. Like that. um, Alright. So what's the thumbnail for this video again? Alright. I'm gonna try to have that be the thumbnail. Hang on. Oh shoot, I didn't notice the time. How's it going? You wouldn't care for the stream, Nameless Loser. Judging from what you told me. Alright, I'm gonna try to have this be the thumbnail. Actually, it doesn't look so appealing as a thumbnail. I know it doesn't have to be exactly 30 minutes, it's just I wanted this to be the thumbnail, since that's already Buckley's thumbnail. Call me a copycat. Sucks that Monkey went live just now. I'm curious as to what he would have thought of this video, or Buckley's other cancel culture videos. But unfortunately, I do have to get going real soon. I'll have to catch up on Monkey's stream, unfortunately. How long has it been going on? 82 minutes! Ah! And I missed most of it. And I know his after parties aren't that long. Sucks. That I had to miss it. Thanks everyone for cringing along. And catch up on me too. We'll see. We'll see. You're fine, Keeve. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, chat, for engaging. Oh, Nighthawk just donated 50. That's amazing. Alright, I assume... I was gonna say Buckley. I assume Monkey's talking about Walmart or retail. It's odd. It's the first time I mixed up their names. And if I ended, that wouldn't have happened. But they both end in key. Monkey, Buckley. Later, Patty Bear. Have a good one, everyone. You're fine, Keeve. I'll see you guys whenever the next stream is.